My superpower is seeing a high-level map 10 steps ahead before other people can. My image was walking around a city with a briefcase in a suit. Like this was like as young as I can remember, like that's what I wanted to do, whatever that was gonna be. And then also growing up, my parents, like we played outside a lot. It was like always outside, building forts, just like very active and building and Legos and Lincoln Logs and Connects. And so I think I knew I wanted to do something, like create something, which I think is interesting because when I look at what I loved about the early days of my role at the American Underground, it was designing like space for things to happen, which is what I did in the woods. Well, truth be told, I didn't want to write an essay. So I only applied to app. It's true. I think a smaller classroom environment was going to be really good for me. And so looked at a lot of schools, went to app, sat in some business classes, and I was like, this is the place for me. I knew I wanted to do business. I thought I wanted to do marketing. I took an accounting class and I did really well. And I was like, I don't know why it just clicked. It's just the way that my brain works, I guess. But I also didn't know if business was what I really wanted to do because I also saw a lot of people in business and I was like, I don't really know if I want that life that they have. So I still thought I needed to do accounting. So I was like, great, like I'm gonna get my CPA, I have everything I need, I just need to take these tests. So I did that. I passed 3 of the 4 exams, missed the 4th by a point. Then I was like, what am I doing? Like I'm just doing this because it's what I'm supposed to do, which is why all these other people are miserable. And so I go on this retreat and this guy's like, I feel like what you're called to is leading people, not accounting, and you're to put this to rest. And I never looked back. Like I said, great. And I think that there was a lot of grace that I experienced from that, where if I had passed, I don't know if I'd be doing what I'm doing today because I wonder if I would feel tied to expectations with that. The whole reason I got the job, well, there were a couple of reasons, was I had been raised in Durham. I had worked with entrepreneurs before and I knew accounting. So that was like part of what my job was. Seriously though, the early AU days, holy cow. They were so stressful. Like I never want to relive that again. I know that sounds really intense, but it's so true. It was like literally nothing was established. I think what I learned in that one was to look to the community to lead. Like I didn't have to be the doer of all the things. And I think a lot of what you see today in the American Underground community is a reflection of that awareness that I'm really grateful that I got then, and I think also from a values standpoint and a faith standpoint with Adam too, being like, we can't be the God over all these things. Like we can only do but so much. I was ready for a break. It's like running a city in a way. It's like a group of people with a lot of different needs. They're all trying to do their different things, and you're trying to figure out how do you take care of yourself, take care of your team, take care of a community, run space, their businesses are dependent on it. It's just really stressful. And I think I got to a point where I just was like, I need a breather, but I also needed another challenge. And this, I think, was kind of the next challenge with Big Top. And really the task was, what do we do to scale access to talent and just connection in the region? Okay, so I'll never forget the day I met Isaac. We had just announced that we bought Big Top, and at the time we also owned Exit Event, which was the media platform, and we were trying to figure out, who does what, where does this go? And I kind of was just skeptical of everything and everybody, and I realized Isaac cared more about me understanding what was behind all the things so that I can make decisions, and I was like, okay, you're not trying to sell me. Okay, I trust you. I mean, this has been the biggest growth period in my professional career. And so I think we were also all growing at the same time, but our communication was like very similar in terms of, hey, this is working for me, or this isn't working for me, or I was really thinking that this was gonna happen on both sides, which I really appreciated. And then what really made me trust their team, we were having some conversation around like figuring out the product and what's the business model around it. And Something was being talked about that essentially would probably help white people more in the recruitment process, give them an advantage. And I think I saw it a little bit, but Isaac was just like, hello, like, no, like we can't design a product that does this thing. And then it made me realize how important it is to have, like, you can't just have like a leadership person think about how you build race and equity into, or access into your organization. Like, it has to be like every person's role, from like the software product to the leasing process to the, like, it has to be everything. And if you ask the question, have you looked at this, what your environment looks like internally? If you look at the system that you have, or the culture that you have in place now, who's underrepresented? How do you create an environment for them to enter in and to thrive? It's like a thriving conversation and a retention conversation. And I realized that that was like already innate in how Isaac saw things. And I knew that he was gonna be thinking about things on the product side that I wasn't gonna be thinking about. Or if I wasn't thinking about them, he was gonna be thinking about them. And then I realized that like the hiring patterns went with that. And so then it just reminded me why everything you do, you have to work with people that you're aligned values-wise. I mean, that's like just the way I thought developed because of Pathos Ethos. I learned so much about how databases work and how do you prioritize where you're gonna spend money. And if you have this allotment of money, spend it this way so that it can grow into this down the line. Or if you do this now, technical debt, didn't know what that was. But we've like done a lot in that period of time. I mean, this will be our third website with Pathos in 2 years. So we did the first Big Top site, and then we did the second site when we went through an entire new branding process where we took an old brand, trying to figure out how to kind of bring it more into the today and the tomorrow feeling, and launch a subscription platform. And now we are taking American Underground and Big Top. We are getting rid of both the branding. We'll all become American Underground, but the new logo and colors and feel and function is a merging of both of those things. I see 20 years from now, hopefully we're sitting here or somewhere with a glass of wine. You and I, Tiffy, we're sitting here drinking. And I'm imagining stories of people that were in middle school today, someone that was in middle school today in Durham Public Schools, that grew up here, got the skills they needed to get the jobs, trained in that company, and then launched a company. Like, to me, when I think like the long-term impact, if we are doing our job well and pulling in all of the right resources, then that's what's possible. For as long as I'm called to be a part of the underground, like, that will impact those that I'm connecting with. And I also hope that whoever comes in down the line and the person after that will be able to continue to build on those things. And personally, I just want to have fun. Like, 20 years from now, I also hope to have told you like all of the fun things that I've been doing, and it's not only just work.